In early 2000, Mozambique, a southeastern African nation known for its vast plains and mighty rivers, experienced a deluge of unprecedented proportions. The rainy season arrived as expected, but this time it was accompanied by a series of cyclones and torrential downpours that turned rivers into raging torrents. The Limpopo, Save, and Zambezi rivers swelled beyond their banks, inundating villages, towns, and farmlands. By February, the situation had escalated into a full-blown disaster. As the floodwaters rose, Mozambique found itself battling one of the worst floods in its history, with entire communities submerged underwater.
Just as Mozambique was grappling with severe flooding, Cyclone Helene made landfall on February 22, 2000. The powerful storm brought devastating winds and even more rain, compounding the already dire situation. The cyclone turned the floods into a catastrophe, sweeping away homes, infrastructure, and livelihoods. Villages were completely destroyed, and thousands of people were stranded on rooftops, treetops, and small patches of dry land. Desperately awaiting rescue, the floodwaters continued to rise, and the combination of flooding and cyclone damage left millions of Mozambicans vulnerable, with no access to food, clean water, or medical care.
The Mozambique flood of 2000 displaced over 1.5 million people and claimed more than 700 lives. Entire families were separated, and thousands went missing as the floodwaters swallowed homes and swept away everything in their path. The lack of clean water and proper sanitation led to outbreaks of waterborne diseases such as cholera and malaria, further exacerbating the crisis. With crops destroyed and livestock lost, food scarcity became a major issue, and hunger loomed over the displaced population. The country's already fragile infrastructure was in ruins, with roads, bridges, and communication networks washed away. Mozambique was in a state of emergency, facing a disaster of monumental scale.
The images of stranded families clinging to trees and rooftops captured the world's attention, prompting an urgent international response. Rescue teams, including the Mozambican military, international aid organizations, and volunteers, launched heroic efforts to save those trapped by the floodwaters. Helicopters became lifelines, airlifting stranded people to safety and delivering essential supplies to remote areas. One of the most iconic images of the disaster was that of a mother giving birth to a baby girl, Rosita, while clinging to a tree. Both mother and child were later rescued by helicopter, symbolizing hope amidst the devastation. Despite these efforts, the scale of the disaster made rescue operations extremely challenging, and many remained stranded for days before help could reach them.
The international community rallied to support Mozambique in its time of need. Countries from around the world sent financial aid, rescue teams, and essential supplies such as food, water, and medicine. Organizations like the United Nations, Red Cross, and World Food Program played critical roles in coordinating relief efforts. Camps were set up to provide temporary shelter for the displaced, while aid workers worked tirelessly to distribute supplies and provide medical care. The outpouring of global solidarity highlighted the importance of collective action in the face of humanitarian crises, bringing much-needed relief to the flood-stricken nation.
Once the floodwaters receded, the true scale of the devastation became apparent. Entire villages had been wiped out, and vast swathes of farmland were left barren, threatening the livelihoods of millions. The Mozambican government, with the support of international donors, began the long and arduous process of rebuilding. Efforts focused on restoring infrastructure, rebuilding homes, and rehabilitating farmland to ensure food security. Schools and healthcare facilities were reconstructed, and communities worked together to restore their lives. The resilience of the Mozambican people shone through as they faced the immense task of rebuilding their country from the ground up.
The 2000 Mozambique flood was a turning point for disaster preparedness in the country. The disaster underscored the need for improved early warning systems, better flood management, and enhanced disaster response capabilities. In the years that followed, Mozambique invested in strengthening its disaster risk reduction strategies, including building flood defenses, creating evacuation plans, and training communities in emergency preparedness. These efforts have since helped mitigate the impact of subsequent natural disasters, saving lives and reducing losses. The flood served as a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities faced by nations prone to extreme weather events, but it also demonstrated the power of resilience and collective action.
Each year, Mozambicans remember the victims of the 2000 flood and reflect on the resilience and solidarity that emerged from the tragedy. The floodwaters may have receded, but the lessons learned and the spirit of unity remain. For the people of Mozambique, the experience of the flood serves as a powerful reminder of their strength and the importance of preparedness in the face of nature's fury. The story of the Mozambique flood is one of immense loss, but also of survival, courage, and the unyielding determination to rebuild and move forward.
The Mozambique flood of 2000 stands as one of the most significant natural disasters in the nation's history. It tested the limits of human endurance and resilience, but also highlighted the power of international cooperation and community spirit. The tragedy brought the world together, showing that even in the face of overwhelming destruction, hope and humanity can prevail. Today, Mozambique continues to recover and grow, its people stronger and more prepared for the challenges that lie ahead.